This year on June, over 20 of New Zealand's greatest minds, scientists, photographers, professors, wildlife authors, and filmmakers are collaborating together to create the greatest story of the region's natural environment. The story that was ever told. And there is a twist. It's hard to believe. It's the 8th continent. Across the 18-mile-long Tasman Glacier toward Hochstetter Icefall. The Tasman Glacier is the longest in New Zealand. In most areas, it is completely covered by the stones that it scrapes from its path. You are watching It's Different. Entirely Different. Presents you details of everything unbelievable. Updates you with every happening. Zealandia. The hidden continent? There lies a vast continent on the sea floor. Zealandia, also known as the New Zealand continent or Tasmantis, is an almost entirely submerged mass of continental crust that subsided after breaking away from Gondwana land about 83 to 79 million years ago. Once part of the same land mass as Antarctica and Australia, the lost continent of Zealandia broke off and eventually sank below the ocean, where it stayed largely hidden for centuries. It has variously been described as a continental fragment, a microcontinent, a submerged continent, and a continent. The name and concept for Zealandia was proposed by Bruce Lyndike in 1995. The land mass may have been completely submerged by about 23 million years ago, and most of it remains submerged beneath the Pacific Ocean, with a total area of 4,920,000 square kilometers, 1,900,000 square miles. Most of Zealandia is underwater. Ball's Pyramid, near Lord Howe Island, is one place where it rises above sea level, steep and eroded, and formed 6.4 million years ago. Ball's Pyramid is positioned in the center of a submarine shelf and is surrounded by rough seas, making any approach difficult. Ball's Pyramid is an erosional remnant of a shield volcano and caldera lying 20 kilometers, 12 miles, southeast of Lord Howe Island, in the Pacific Ocean. It is 562 meters, 1,844 feet, high, while measuring only 1,100 meters, 3,600 feet, in length and 300 meters, 980 feet, across, making it the tallest volcanic stack in the world. Ball's Pyramid is part of the Lord Howe Island Marine Park in Australia, and is over 643 kilometers, 400 miles, northeast of Sydney, New South Wales. Map of Zealandia released on the 22nd of June 2020. Now, maps reveal new research about the underwater continent, where dinosaurs once roamed, and allow the public to virtually explore it. Science. A New Zealand Research Institute published 2 new maps and an interactive website on Monday. The maps cover the shape of the ocean floor and Zealandia's tectonic profile, which collectively help tell the story of the continent's origins. The maps also help explain the setting of New Zealand's volcanoes, sedimentary basins, and other geological features. These maps are a scientific benchmark, but they're also more than that. They are the evidence of a lost continent, a missing link. How the continent sank. The idea of a potential continent in this area has been around for some time, and the name Zealandia was first coined by geophysicist Bruce Lyndike in 1995. A dedicated study of this area, stretching about 5 million square kilometers, about 1.93 million square miles, has since determined it is not just a group of continental islands and fragments, but a continental crust large and separate enough to be officially declared a separate continent. Zealandia used to be part of Gondwana, the supercontinent that once held many of the continents we know today, like Africa and South America. About 85 million years ago, Zealandia split off from Gondwana. The drifting, shifting landmass, about half the size of Australia, was home to dinosaurs and lush rainforest. Then, millions of years later, the world's tectonic plates, pieces of the Earth's crust, began reorganizing themselves in a period of dramatic geological change that also created the Pacific Ring of Fire, a belt in the Pacific where the world's most active volcanoes are located. During this time, the Pacific Plate, the world's largest tectonic plate, is believed to have sank below the continental crust of Zealandia. This process, called subduction, caused the root of the continent to break off and sink as well. According to the National Science Foundation, a U.S. government research agency of Zealandia is now submerged underwater. But some parts of the continent are still above land, making up New Zealand and other small islands. The highest point of Zealandia is Aoraki Mount Cook, at 3,724 meters, 12,218 feet. There is still much unknown about the continent, and whether the discovery of Zealandia could change historical climate models. As more research emerges, the interactive website and maps will be updated to reflect what we know, said GNES Science. Zealandia is a long, narrow microcontinent that is mostly submerged in the South Pacific Ocean. A microcontinent is a landmass that has broken off from a main continent. Zealandia broke off from Antarctica about 100 million years ago, and then from Australia about 80 million years ago. Zealandia is about half the size of Australia, but only 7% of it is above sea level. Most of that terrestrial land makes up the two large islands of the country of New Zealand, the North Island and the South Island. Stewart Island, just south of the South Island, and many smaller islets are also a part of Zealandia. New Caledonia, a collection of islands governed by France, makes up the northern tip of Zealandia. Zealandia generally enjoys a mild, temperate climate. Its largest islands have glaciers, the largest being Tasman Glacier on the South Island. Activity from the last glacial period also carved out many fjords and valleys. The tropical climate of New Caledonia, on the other hand, has more in common with Oceania and the South Pacific. Zealandia is a very tectonically active region. Part of the microcontinent is on the Australian plate, while the other part is on the Pacific plate. The northern part of Zealandia is very volcanic. There are 6 major areas with active volcanoes, the largest being the Taupo volcanic zone. On the North Island, geothermal activity caused by the interaction of the Australian and Pacific plates also means there are many natural geysers and hot springs scattered throughout Zealandia. Both the North and South Islands have volcanic mountain ranges running through their centers. The North Island is dominated by the North Island volcanic plateau, while the primary mountain range of the South Island is the Southern Alps. Both mountain ranges are slowly getting higher through a process called tectonic uplift. Zealandia, the hidden continent, now discovered as 8th continent,